request to invite you to speak. Then I'll know you definitely. Hi. So please let me know. Send me an emoji or something. if you can hear me. So good evening, everybody. Kaya, if you can, please try speaking for me, and Kumbu, please accept the speaker request as well. Kaya, over to you. Please give us a quick intro and then just see if all our tech is working. If not, then you can see what to do. Kaya, over to you.
Hi, Zoa. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear. Okay, awesome.
Awesome stuff. I'm excited for our conversation today. I think it's a conversation that is a very pertinent conversation when we are referring to the creative industries, because so many people, so many creatives cry foul about how they've been cheated, they've been robbed, or how they're failing to monetize their craft. So this is an opportunity, a great learning opportunity for them. Hopefully, our other guests, our other panelists will join soon and we can get into the conversation.
Fantastic. Thanks, Kaya. Kumbu, please do accept the speaker what do you call this? The speaker request I sent you. Then hopefully our other speakers will be joining us. It is a recorded conversation, so whoever misses this part can always jump onto the train later. Kumbu, please accept the speaker, and then let's check if you are up and running. So, hi everybody. If any of our new people who've joined us are one of my speakers, please just let me know by sending a request to speak. I'm not too sure what your Twitter handles are, and just let me know. Kumbu, I'm still waiting on you. And then hopefully by past, we can be able to start this conversation. Please bear with us. I think people are having quite a few technical issues. I had a few issues as well, and we had to cancel the first link, but we are up and running now. Please like, share, and retweet this as well so that we can get more people to come and have this conversation with us. Thank you. So, hi everybody. In the interest of time, we are just going to start our conversation now. My name is Zwagele Ndlovu. I know I'm the host, but I had to use a different account because I was having issues with my main account at Zwagele. People couldn't hear me. So, what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to give a quick introduction of who I am as your hostess for tonight. I am a media personality. I have been in media for over, oh my goodness, 20 years plus. So I'm quite a fossil in the industry. And it started a long time ago with a program called Teen Scene. So I've been on TV for pretty much over half of my life. And yeah, I've presented quite a few programs. I've been on radio. So I've been, I could say, chin deep in the arts and the whole sector. So the topic of monetizing your craft is something very close to my heart. And yeah, we're going to have a discussion. I'll obviously share some of my insights and my experiences later on as we chat. And remember, this is a recorded interview, recorded space rather. So it will be up for some time. Please do like, share, and retweet the link. And yes, let's have the conversation started. In the interest of time, though, I would just like to go straight into the conversation. Kumbu, please accept the speaker invite. Kaya, I'm going to start with you straight to the deep end while we wait for our other panelists. And our other panelists, we're expecting Muzo Beats, as well as Honorable Mutodi, as well as a surprise guest. Hopefully, they are going to come through onto the space. Kaya, first of all, I'm going to have you start. Please give us a brief of who you are, how you got into this industry, and then we'll take it from there. In the meantime, I'm hoping Ukumbu will be able to accept the speaker invite and then we continue the conversation. Over to you, Kaya.
Good evening, Zwa. Good evening to everyone who is currently listening to this space. My name is Kailihle Moyo, but professionally I go by Kaya Moyo. I'm a radio presenter, radio producer, and content producer for Bulawayo's first commercial radio station, Sky's Metro FM. I've been on radio for just under 6 years. This year will be my 6th year in radio. But I've generally been in the industry from quite a young age. I started off as a poet, dabbled in a bit of hip hop here and there. I'm also a published writer. So, like you said, monetizing the craft or creative talent is something that's also close to my heart as well. It's a challenge that many of us face, and I'm excited to be sharing my own opinions and my insights on the issue. In addition to my work in radio and media, I'm also a brand strategist specializing in public relations and strategic communications, basically helping brands to build their brands, their reputation, and to effectively communicate their identity, their brand message, and their brand image.
Kaya, all these years I knew you. I didn't know you were a poet in hip hop as well. Like, okay, published writer. So, I see Ukumbu is still yet to accept the microphone. So it's going to be a two-way for between me and you now, Kaya.
All right.
You
I
said
mean,
you're
it's all about women empowerment anyway, so let the girlies lead.
exactly. So, Kaya, 6 years in radio, poetry, hip hop artist. What has been your experience in terms of making money out of being a poet, a hip hop artist, a writer? Have you been able to make ends meet? Sorry, it's a rather direct question, but this is what we're talking about today. Have you been able to survive with your craft through your talents?
Okay, honestly, I was a bit young then, and I gave up to get into to mainstream media, which is why I'm on radio. But I think with the knowledge that I've learned in the past few years, there's definitely space. There's a lot of room to make money from the craft. It just requires a lot of work, a lot of dedication, but also understanding how the industry works and knowing where and how the money is made.
Okay, you've said understanding how the industry works. Okay, you said you've got experience. I'm old now. I'm like over 42, and I've been in this sector. And up until now, I am failing to kind of like wrap it around my head to like be able to sustainably sustain myself in this craft. And in terms of knowing how the industry works, what would you say are the challenges that artists have in understanding their work and understanding how their industries work and in understanding how to actually make money out of it? Do we understand how to make money, how we can strategize and be able to package your art in such a way that inevitably the money comes to you? Do you think that's something that artists in general know?
Um, I think there's a vague understanding of how the industry works, but I think also in our Zimbabwean context, it's important to note that we're still in our infancy in terms of really having lucrative creative industries where creatives can profit and live off of them. So I think I think that's the main challenge, understanding that we are not necessarily at the same place where in comparison to the global north, and even our neighboring South Africa, where they have more viable industries with more lucrative industries, where the partnerships between the various stakeholders that form a lucrative industry are actually viable. So I think with us, that's the first challenge in terms of that we're still in our infancy, still finding our feet, still trying to create the structures and the systems that contribute to a viable music industry. In terms of creators themselves, knowledge is out there, but from my observation, particularly from my experience working in radio in reference to musicians, there does seem to be an element of not understanding the nitty gritties and having the expectations of understanding how the business works set aside to maybe an artist manager and so forth. But I feel like as a creative, it's important for you to own your craft and to understand everything that goes into the process of creating your work, putting your work out there, and eventually making money from it. So I think those are the main challenges from the top of my head that I can cite right now. We don't have a viable industry. I think that's debatable. I might be crucified for that, but we definitely don't have a viable industry, and that in itself creates so many complications because the various stakeholders that are involved in coming up with a music industry or a creative industry are not performing at the level that they should be.
Thank you so much, Kaya. If you've just joined us, my name is Sizwakele Ndlovu, and I will be your host tonight. And we are discussing monetizing your craft and how to make money from your art sector, from whatever you do, whether in poetry, hip hop, music, whatever it is. What are some of the challenges and what are some of the opportunities that are there? I am supposed to have a 5 panel lineup of speakers, and I'm hoping they do come through. Kaya is already one of our speakers. She's a radio personality at Sky's Metro FM. Ukumbu Malinga is also there. Kumbu, I hope you'll be able to accept the speaker request that I sent you. If you are listening via laptop, please switch to phone just in case. And also, we're supposed to have Muzo Beats, who is a Zambian music producer, and Honorable Dr. Energy Mutori, a politician and legislator and musician. And we are going to be having a discussion about what is it that stops us monetizing our crafts in Zimbabwe and in the region as a whole. So far, we've just discussed some of the challenges. Kaya mentioned there's issues with our structures, and the industry isn't really viable, and creatives haven't wrapped their heads around trying to make money. As a creative myself, I think my biggest issue, I would say, was the fact that I started off all my arts work as a hobby. So it was never an issue, it was never a priority to make money out of it. I always worked corporate setup and things like that. So it was a side hustle for me. So transitioning from side hustle to business has been one of the most challenging issues I am facing in my life at the moment. And I'm just wondering whether I should just give up, get a farm, and just leave all this creative stuff, or because it's not tenable. I can't keep on doing this without making the money. And the older you get as well, you realize, what is it? Where am I supposed to put my energies towards? Kumbu, I hope you will be able to join us. In the meantime, if you would like to contribute I know most of you are not one of our official speakers. If you have a question, if you have a comment, please do request the microphone and I will give you some time. Please do remember, this is a public platform. Please, no profanity, no name calling, no drama. It's just supposed to be a beautiful conversation that we have tonight. So if you'd like to contribute to anything that we've had, or you'd like to schedule some questions or something that you'd like to have up for discussion, please do request the microphone. So far it's just Kaya and I having a conversation here. So as we mentioned, it's woman empowerment going on right now. So Kaya, I think also my thing has been I've been on both sides as a creative and also as a potential creative sponsor. I've been in the corporate sector and I've seen both worlds. And my biggest gripe is sometimes we do not take our arts, our crafts seriously in terms of things like presentation or showing up on time or even just being able to provide a track record of the stuff that we do, of the work that you do. And as a brand strategist, I'm hoping you'd be able to touch on that later. So it becomes very difficult to throw good money in a situation where somebody doesn't seem to be a good product. So I know that'll also be up for crucifixion later on. But what's your take on that so far?
I agree with you there 100%, Zwa. A lot of creatives are currently struggling to package themselves in a professional manner. They're struggling to build very strong brands that speak for themselves. That corporates who ideally have the financial muscle to support our crafts don't take us seriously. Professionalism is a very big one. We take, I'm going to say we, because, there's a bit of, okay, I fall into this side and on the other side as well. One foot here and one foot there. But there definitely is that lack of professionalism and a lack of appreciation for the corporate language. And I think if you're creative and you realize that you have a weakness in that area, it is probably is a good idea to have a manager or an individual that can then interface between you and potential clients, potential partners, various stakeholders in the corporate space. Because that is it's a big one. So you're very right on that. And even drawing from my personal experience in radio with a lot of musicians, even the way they interact with the radio station, for example, an artist they've got a record out, they want to submit their music to get it considered for airplay. There are channels that should be followed. There's a process. Each radio station has a music submission policy. There are ways in which you should follow to get your music submitted and hopefully eventually get played on the airwaves. A lot of artists don't want to follow that. They want to take a shortcut. They'll be on your DMs at 2 a.m. in the morning asking you to listen to their music and hopefully give them an interview or give them airplay. But it's important to understand that we need to respect systems and structures, and we need to understand that there are ways in which to do it in a professional manner without necessarily annoying the next person, because these radio personalities that you're trying to get your music to are human beings as well. Imagine what impression you're creating to me when you send me a message at 2 a.m. and I don't even know where you got my number from. You're just like, hey yo, what's up, my sister? Can you check it out? On your show and stuff like so. That already shows that there's a lack of professionalism. There's a lack of taking yourself seriously as a brand. It's important to be able to understand how to communicate with various stakeholders that you wish to get into your corner to eventually monetize your craft.
Thanks, Kaya. Thank you so much for that. And when you were speaking, I just remembered a time. Well, I think it's still there, especially for our painters, our visual artists. There's a certain laissez-faire attitude. Say, look, I'm a creative. I can wear what I want. I can do what I want. I can rock up because my creative juices will flow in a certain way, and therefore, etc. I think it works for certain people, and certain industries, but sometimes we are failing ourselves by just not stepping up and being on time, being presentable, just doing the right thing, exactly like what you're saying, Kaiguti, following procedures, Uti, or just because you're a creative doesn't mean you're particularly special. It means you have to follow the rules, certain rules, especially if you're asking for certain people's money. Kaya, I'll give Segala Tita, please go ahead with the contribution.
Okay, thank you very much. I hope you can hear me.
I can hear you loud and clear.
Thank you. I think it's a very interesting conversation, which I believe we must start from uh, what is our definition of monetization. I think the traditional definition of monetization does not apply with the
Yeah,
artists of
daddy.
today.
Yeah, baby. Yeah, daddy. Uh.
Okay,
Yeah, daddy.
so
Keep doing it, daddy. Uh. Uh.
Apologies about that. It seems like we had a gremlin making its way into our speaker panel. Segala Tita, apologies. I had accepted a speaker and we had some issues there. I have removed them. Please continue with your contribution.
okay, I was saying what. Let's start from our definition of monetization. When we are asking the question, how do a person as an artist monetize themselves? Uh, what is our basis of defining monetization? Are we looking at monetization the traditional way, which I can define the traditional way of and give an example of a music artist? You produce your song, you take it to radio, you beg the DJ to play the song, you wait to be booked for live shows. Is that the definition of monetization that we are talking about in today's age? And does that definition really apply in this digital age? I think we do have case studies, especially in our region, where we have seen that this traditional definition or methods of monetization do not really apply because we have certain conditions that cannot be met for this particular definition of monetization to apply in our own region. How then can we have our own customized definition of monetization? Which method of monetization works for us? Because I think the traditional one, it has been proven not to work. We have a number of artists that have produced good music, branded themselves well, carried themselves very well, even had their songs played on radio, but they never made money out of it. So there are certain conditions that we don't have as a region. What then can be our own definition of monetization? How can we make money? We need to. I think we need to define how we can monetize our own art, considering what we don't have. Most probably will never have it, and considering that today's digital age, how are other musicians across the region, how are they doing it? How, for example, in South Africa today, the songs that are big are not songs on radio. Most probably won't hear them on radio, but there are songs that are trending on TikTok. So TikTok today seems to be producing hit songs than radio. Are we still saying our artist must prioritize or push the DJ to play their songs? Can we have our own? I think the discussion should shape our own a new definition of monetization. Thank you, Zon.
Thank you so much for that contribution. Just to throw in my 3 cents worth on monetization, I think in my mind, it was simply a case of being able to do your craft and survive solely on your craft. It's not just for musicians. It was just for like our poets, our visual artists, our anybody in what you'd call an arts and creative sector. And it's a very wide branch, acknowledged. We would have to acknowledge that. So it's just a simple case of how can people make money? What have been the barriers? Actually, before we even get to people, all our artists making money, what have been some of the barriers? And you're saying, okay, fine, let's define monetization. That'll be a great start as well. And then also, I would say, historically, what have been some of the issues? Why have people failed to make money? And we could say, yeah, no, I understand the economy now, but even back then in the days, in the supposed rosy days, there were still some issues. Some artists were making money and other artists were not making money. Other artists had hits and other artists didn't have hits. Where is the issue? Or are we saying that the art sector is just something that should be confined to being just one of your income streams? And maybe another question is it possible, before we even say why are people not making money, is it possible to actually live and be sustained entirely by your craft? I suppose that's another question as well to ask while we are having this discussion, and then we'll probably come up with challenges and opportunities. If you've just joined us, we are having a discussion on monetizing your craft, challenges and opportunities. And earlier on, the point was raised to say our structures, our supportive structures are not yet in place. We are in the infancy of creating a viable industry. And also our creatives are not yet ready to play on a, how can I put it, a more playing field in order to be supported by the corporates. That's one of the challenges possibly. And we're just trying to come up as well to say what has been the issue, what has been, and once we address what some of the issues are, then we can hopefully brainstorm on how to address these issues. So we are supposed to have Musa Beats is a Zambian music producer to give us a perspective from Zambia, and also Ukumbu. Kumbu is part of our panel today. I've just sent you an invite to speak, Kumbu Malinga, and he's the MD of K9 Studios. And Kaya is already here, and she's already a personality at Skies Metro. And we are also expecting a surprise guest from Generations of Legacy, as well as Honorable Mutori, who is a legislator and a musician, to hear his perspective, to say, look, I would like to find out as well, what role can government play? It's the whole industry has to have various players. There's the corporate sector, there's government. What support can we expect? What support should we be lobbying for? What can we as creatives do as well? And we did mention earlier on that sometimes I believe some of the issue is lying straight at the door of creatives, whether it's ignorance or lack of acknowledging the rules that have to be played by. Sometimes our creatives are just not professional enough. They don't take their craft seriously. You ask for a track record of their music or their craft or something, and they don't have anything to back it up. As you rightfully pointed out, we're living in a digital age, Tegalatati. And you said that we have to morph into what works now. If it's TikTok, if it's this and that, there has to be transition into how the rest of the world is playing. So far, it's a lot to take in, and I'm going to have a breather. Kaya, would you like to come in at this point in time while we wait for Ukumbu to join us? What's your take on the conversation, especially on what Usega Latita said about defining monetization? What's your take on that?
Thanks, Swa. Sega Latita brought in a very good point there in terms of having our own definition and understanding of what monetization is. Allow me to be a Pan-African for a bit. I think it sort of alludes to also these conversations around decolonization of a lot of knowledge, a lot of systems, and so forth. Because for a very long time, we've been trying to emulate what's happening in the global north. And as Segala Tita alluded to, sometimes some of these things are not relevant or they're not applicable to our own context. And so maybe it's important, like you said, Zwa, for us to dissect what are the challenges that are unique to our region. What is it that we are facing that is not necessarily found in other areas? And what then do we do? How do we come together to then understand what these challenges are, how we can overcome them. But obviously, because we're living in the digital age, I will be biased towards saying we should look into the digital space a lot more. Segala Tita mentioned the popularity of TikTok, and numbers don't lie. Research proves that TikTok is dramatically changing how music works. He even mentioned that a lot of the popular music that we're enjoying or that we've come to know or discovered via TikTok is not even in your mainstream media platforms. It's not even getting airplay and stuff like that. So then we have to think about what are the platforms that we can use, the digital spaces that we can take advantage of, that we can leverage off from to reach our target audience and other audiences that may exist, and how to essentially monetize that content, monetize that media in a way that will be innovative, but also relevant to our context.
Thank you so much, Kaya. While you were having that, I was just running through my head. Yeah, thank you for the big English also. I was just wondering, say, look, yeah, the global north and all these other places, great. Different economies, even next door. But are we not putting unnecessary pressure as well on our creators? What if you can't live off your craft? And okay, that sounds rather pessimistic, but what if it is a fact? What if one has to have a craft and have a backup as well, because it simply will not work in J? So is this something that we need to consider and to say, all right, in the meantime, do we then say hone your craft, but then do something else as well? But then you wouldn't be able to balance things out. Angazi, it just seems like there's so many creatives, there's so many musicians, so many poets, so many writers, but very few rise to the top. Or is this something that is inevitable? Because also in South Africa, we're looking in South Africa, and we see all these great musicians, but we don't know all the graveyards of all the others. And we think, oh, just because they've got 1,000 and we've got 5, it means they're better. But in terms of populations as well, our percentages could very well be the same in terms of being able to make it in the industry. I don't know. I see, Kumbu, you are finally here. Thank you so much. Kumbu, please go ahead, do introduce yourself, tell us who you are, what sector you play in. I know you're MDF K9 Studios. Tell us more about that. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Zwa, for having me. I was having troubles with my connections here. Can you confirm that I'm audible?
Uzwagele Kumbu.
Ngiyabonga, sizwakele. Okay. No, thank you very much. And thank you very much to everyone who has tuned in. Thank you very much to even those that will tune in after this space has we have finished these discussions. As Zwa said, thank you very much for recording so that it will remain here online for those that will want to listen afterwards. My name is Kombu Maringa. I'm the managing director of K9 Studios, based here in Sandton, in South Africa. We are a record label that has got a number of artists in our stable. A number of them have won awards both here and in Zimbabwe. A prominent one in Zimbabwe being X-Mile, who is one of our very, shining artists who won the PA Awards, the last edition of them. So I'm very grateful to be part of this platform. Thank you very much for having me, Zwa.
Right, Kumbu. I know you've been listening from the onset. You've heard everything we were saying.
Yes.
And we're talking about the challenges and gahle gahle. Is it possible to live off ads in this country and in this region? What's your take, first of all, as a manager of the studio?
Well, I would like to say that I'll speak mostly from a managerial and record label perspective. What you have is that when we form record labels, we have got a number of objectives. First of all, we want to expand the talent that is there in terms of the artist talent, which lead us to be able to identify talent and be able to sign them up, invest in them, and make them shine. And the second one is that we want to have influence, use the talent that we are going to identify, and be able to use the content they have and the content they will develop to change lives. Then the third thing is that we want, obviously, we're in a profit making business. We want to get a return on investment. And when we're saying we mean we as the investors in the project, we mean the artists themselves. And one of the things that we realize that when we are looking at artists, most of the times, artists who carry the microphone and sing and are singing in front of people being singing, they are thought to be the artist because we're hearing them speaking. But when you look at from our perspective as record label side, we are saying the art industry itself to produce that song. You've got the record label that has invested. You've got someone who composed the lyrics. It may or may not be the artist. We have got a producer. We have got a singer. You've got a publisher. You've got a whole lot of people involved in the ecosystem of producing even one track itself. Therefore, when we are looking at is it possible to make money? I will say yes, but you need to understand the whole ecosystem as an artist in whatever area that I have mentioned. Are you a publisher? Are you a producer? Are you a composer? Are you the one who is singing? Are you, backing vocalist? So you need to understand all those and how do you locate yourself and how do you bargain on the contract that is done in the onset. So yes, it's possible to make money, but you need to understand the whole how the ecosystem works first. So I'll end here for now in answering your question that you have asked.
Thank you so much. People in your position, stables, managers, do have quite a bad reputation, if we're being honest. Ripping people off, bad contracts, and that's why some artists feel that they would rather try and manage their lives and their creative spaces themselves because you hear all the horror
Yes.
stories. Walk us through what you, as a studio, would do to actually try and change the narrative in terms of conversations with artists. What needs to be done? What are you doing? What needs to be done as well to change this whole us and them ripping us off type of thing?
Okay, no, thank you very much. That's a very important point that needs to be, discussed. I'm very aware that most artists who are signed by record labels, they have got their own grievances. They will tell you, I perform in places, tickets are, the show is oversold. I win. What do you call this? A platinum. My song hits a platinum. I win awards. I do this, but the money that I'm receiving from the label vis-a-vis what I'm putting out, vis-a-vis what my name is out there, it's not, it's not balancing. But I want us to understand from this perspective. Number one, you are an artist. You gifted in terms of, let's suppose, so that we don't split hairs and bring many people. Let's suppose we're able to compose your own song, we're able to sing your own song, you're able to perform your own songs and stuff. You find a record label that says, we have seen talent in you, we want to invest in you. So we give you a contract and say, maybe for the next 1 year, or for the next 3 years, or 5 years, or 10 years, whatever agreement that the record label end, the artist agree on. We are going to give you to invest in you this much every month. And the record label, when they are saying they invest in you, they are meaning they are buying a recording time for you. So while you would have gone and paid whatever time per hour to record a song, to practice a song until ultimately you record it, the record label pays for you that time. Transport from home is paid for you. Clothes you wear when you're performing and even dressing to go out so that you're representing the label, they're even bought for you. Where you are staying, uh, in most cases, accommodation is paid for you. Transport to get from one place to another, a car can be provided for you. And on top of it all, then you get a salary. And then the record label also looks for a market for you to go and what do you call it, and go and perform, so that there is money that comes to the label. If you calculate all that the record label has put in you, you may find that the money that you bring to the label, even in 1 year or 2 years, may not be enough to cover the expenses that have been invested in you. So you need to understand that. I remember, although I won't mention names, there was one song that we did. The video of it costed us 200,000 rand to do. We did about 3 days. The video, it's one of our top videos. We got one of the best videographers, flew him in to come and do it and stuff. It cost us 200,000. It became so big, but we haven't yet redeemed the money that you invested. But every time the artist will get whatever the record label gives them. Right, now coming to the point that, okay, let's say I've shown you first. I wanted to show you how much investment is done in the artist, so that when an artist is saying, I'm given, maybe I heard the last time, was it this guy from Ambitious, in Tawa said to buy, saying they give him 3,000 and something rand. You lay an artist saying, I'm getting 3,000 rand. But literally, if you check the house where they stay, probably is 10,000 rand paid for, which does not pay. Check the amount that you use per month can be about 100,000 paid, to make his lifestyle become the one that we envy and see. Right, now coming to the second point. I think what artists should do when they are negotiating with record labels. Record label is in the business of three things, as I said: to promote talent, to do, becoming influential. Number three, in the business of making money. Artists will be able to get the contracts that are proposed by the record label, which is what I do in my company. When I write a contract for you, it's written. There's a clause that says you are free to take this contract to your legal advisor and bring it when you are satisfied on or before this date. If you want to bring your legal advisor, they can come with you to get an explanation from us and our legal advisor, so that there is a proper conversation and legal issues are met. So that's one thing that artists should do. Don't get excited when a record label says signing you. You are seeing all the being big and so forth. Take the document and don't think you are knowledgeable enough because you think you know it all. Take it to a legal advisor. There are free legal advisors that offer free legal services if you in legal clinics if you can't find the one that you can pay for. And then if you think they need to talk to the legal team of the company, bring them in. They come and have a discussion until both parties can agree that this is a win-win agreement. So that's the first thing that our artists need to learn. Read everything, get legal advice. Secondly, I was hearing what Segala Lachita said. This world has mutated much from the traditional world that we knew, that we get money from royalties only, that when my song is played on Metro FM or on Sky's Metro FM, on Kulumani, on Kozi FM, I know I can send, the what you call the royalties representatives to go and collect your Zimura in Zimbabwe, and here you've got your Samro and so forth. They go and collect on my behalf to bring money. You find that many artists have been dying poor because of waiting for that. Because they don't, those people, they don't go and collect money on time and record the radio stations and TV stations. They rig those what do you call it, playlist schedules and stuff. And then secondly, you want to bank on an artist, you want to bank on shows. That shows are done. I performed, I saw 20,000 people field without calculating how much was put by people invested in making that show come to play. And they'll remove their expenses first, share their dividends, and then pay you what remains after expenses, which you will cry about. So now we have got a whole lot of the internet is ballooned, has shown us that it is possible to make money using the internet. Let's look at YouTube, for example. It's a very huge space that artists can be able to monetize channels. In your negotiations with your record label, you are able to negotiate and say, let's agree that you can handle everything else outside online. My contract stipulate that I open my own channel, and what we put on channel O, all those royalties we share them at the company. But these ones that come from YouTube, come from Spotify, come from any other online and so forth. So there's a whole lot of discussions that can be made while you are negotiating the contract. Without speaking a long time, I'll end here to wait for questions and to answer the next question as well.
Thank you so much, Kumbu. Wow, you have broken it down really well. In terms of that, labels, studios have their own expenses, and the issue is now trying to manage what do you call this, unrealistic expectations, I would say, because everybody burst onto the scene and it's like, oh, I'm going to be amazing, I'm going to be this, I'm going to make money. So it's just basically managing those expectations and walking them through. But I'm sure it must be hard for somebody to sit down and read a contract when they think they're going to be the next big thing on the market, or the next number one hit in terms of music and things like that. And yeah, and then when they realize, okay, I've got the fame but not the money, then you start wondering, okay, fine, was there some orientation beforehand to actually say, sit them down properly and just get through to them? And also maybe, is there any form of knowledge, awareness creation that people can learn about before they actually venture into this? Because it is a business, and if you are going to try to make money out of it, you have to package your work as a business. You're not just a painter anymore, you're a business person. Do our creatives really understand that? Do our musicians really understand? It's now you've stepped away from it being a hobby, you doing whatever you want, and jumping over into the business side of things. Do you think they really get that, Kumbu? Hi, Kumbu, please unmute your microphone. While we wait for Kumbu, Musa Beats, I see you're here. I've sent you the microphone request. Please accept it as well. Kumbu, please unmute your mic, and then you just answer that, and then we come back to Kai and then Muzo. All right, Kumbu, we'll just get back to you shortly. Kaya, I'm coming back to you now, and regarding that whole
yes, I've unmuted my phone. Cool. Yes,
Kumbu, go ahead.
Okay, no, thank you very much, sir. I was saying, as you rightfully were saying that just now, that when someone is, they write lyrics and then they think that, I'm the next big thing. You sing for your friends, you sing in the shower, you play, in the streets there. People think they are the next big thing. Then you now you now get people, or you approach people or get people where a record label will say, let's work with you, let's build you, let's build this thing together. One thing that comes to your mind is that, no, I'm now, bringing money to these people. They are using me to have money. You don't realize that you are getting into a contractual agreement where we say, we are now shareholders of this product we are doing. If let's suppose we say, okay, we are giving you 30%, which is a generous figure, by the way. It's too much, 30%. By giving you 30%, the record label gets this much. These artists, mostly, they don't understand that they are in business. They don't understand that they are now 30% or 40% or 50%, whatever the percentage, shareholders of this particular company, and the company is them, the product. If usually artists, they use these stage names. If it's Zwa, they don't understand that this new company called Zwa, which Sizwagele and K9 are now shareholders of, is now, we're now in a business partnership. When they're sitting, when they come, they think some funny arrangement, and when things begin to happen, they don't understand these things. So one thing that I think is very important, from arts business school, as trainers that train arts, is to make these artists understand the business of art itself. That when I'm getting into this, when I'm signing a contract not to be owned. I'm signing a contract that I'm now a shareholder of this brand that we are doing. I have an equal, or I have got this kind of contribution that I can make to make sure that this brand grows, and I reap out of it. And then also tied to that, artists don't understand the terminology of the artist industry. For example, you look at things like your masters, and then your copyright, there are many issues that they don't understand. Because if I come into a record label, I sing, I don't know anything called masters, and then when I leave, and then I find that no, the contract that I signed said all masters of all the songs I did, they belong to the record label and not me. It means that the record label, even if I die, it continues to make money even if I leave from those masters that I signed, that they belong to them. So first thing, they need to understand the terminology of the industry itself, and they need to understand the legalities surrounding the business itself. Thirdly, they need to know that they are in the business using art, and art is a business, and they need to be easier for them to treat art as a business and be able to fend for themselves and their families and leave legacies that are able, to benefit generations and generations as well.
Kumbu, thank you so much. From your breakdown, I feel I understand why labels would leave their artists ignorant. To just say, yeah, like to say, look, if you don't know these masters, you don't know anything about anything.
Mm-hmm.
Artists are very easily exploitable. And if I was an exploitative music house, I was just like, hey, but you signed the contract and signed this and that. I'll come back to that discussion later to say, what can we then do
Thank you
going
very
forward?
much.
I know you mentioned art business and teaching people, but we'll come back to that. In the meantime, I'm going to
Yes.
invite Musa Beat, and we're going to get a Zambian perspective. And he is a music producer. And Musa, welcome to the space. Please tell us more about what you do. I only know that you're from Zambia and you're a music producer. How long have you been in this industry, and what has been your experience so far? Over to you, Musa.
Thanks. Thanks so much. I'm Muzobit from Zambia, a music producer. I've been in the production industry, I think, for over 10 years. But before that, I was in the background, and I've worked in the background on most of the songs that have made noise across the country. And for the past 5 years, I felt like I should publicize myself. Okay, and recently we've collaborated with Zomba, where we're identifying upcoming artists. Okay, in short, I'm mostly focused on identifying artists in the from the ground roots. You know, it's very difficult for these upcoming artists who are not financially okay to be identified by these big record labels. So I actually go to the grassroots and look for talent, identify talent, support them, and bring them to light. In a nutshell, I think that's what I can say about myself.
Thank you so much, Moses. So I'm going to ask you this question. Is it possible for artists to live and sustain themselves only on their craft? Because we are talking about the challenges and opportunities. And sometimes you have to go back and say, is it possible? Maybe we're asking things that cannot be done. We're saying artists should do this, artists should do that. Is it possible, first of all? And if not, if it is, what have been some of the challenges? And if it isn't, what can be the way forward? How can you change this narrative of saying you can't survive, you can survive, and then you take it from there? So can artists survive of their craft, in your opinion?
I think from my experience and what I've observed from my country, it's I would say yes in some sense and no in some sense. What I mean by that is there are levels to our music industry. When starting building the brand, it really takes a lot of time. And building that fan base really takes a lot of time. And in Zambia, for you to make money, real money, you need to make that fan base. And from what I've observed is that most of these upcoming artists, they don't often utilize these social platforms, and they have less opportunity to be signed by these record labels. Sometimes these big record labels, they look for numbers. How many followers do you have? How influential are you? And so mostly our artists, upcoming artists, the only way to be recognized is the use of social media and all that. Once that fan base has been laid out, then you can think of relying on your craft, as in specifically. So really, and the other challenge that we have observed is that there are less sponsors, I would say. Often in Zambia, we rely on sponsors and the like. So far, the big record labels that I can recognize, there are two, Kalandamina Music and Nexus. So those are the well-known big well-known record labels. So it's quite a very big challenge. If Zambia could have a setup of where probably government backing and more record labels which are backed by big sponsors, it would be very easy for an upcoming artist to be signed or be recognized, because you know, anything that is fresh on the market or in the music industry really boosts these big these record labels. So that's really a challenge from my experience. I wouldn't go much into the technical part like Mr. Nkumbu has alluded, but on my part, from the background, that's how I would explain the whole thing. Thanks.
Thanks, Muzo. In terms of government backing, what would you think is the ideal backing? How would the government be able to assist the sector? Some practical ways, because we always say, "Oh, government should do this, government should do that." But how do you see that working out if government had to jump on board? How would they assist the creative sector?
On the top of the list often the government brings up these empowerments, the youth empowerment funds, and the people who usually benefit are people who have already made a name out there. There's really a disconnection between what's on the ground and what's at the hierarchy, you know. So if government can go to the grassroots, support and we have the Ministry of Arts in our country, but they don't go in the grassroots. People who really need the support. If the government can do that, that will really be helpful. And this is arts is something that is that any people can rely on and make money out of it. You know, can create jobs for a lot of people. But if you only support the people who've already made names, like recently, like Makitu received some funds, and I don't want to go into specifics, but just one of the examples, you know. So really, government should go on the grassroots and identify these people and support them.
Thanks, Musa, for that. I think we basically well have similar sentiments about support. But if we had to take the government out of this for now and say in terms of the creatives themselves, what is the challenge that you have come across in terms of professionalism and refining their art? Is there a challenge? Is not everybody is going to be a number one Billboard chart person. Not everybody is going to be a number one rapper or a number one writer. But generally speaking, is there a gap between the market demands and what the creatives are producing, in your opinion?
Firstly, I would say this. Are you able to get me?
Yes, I can hear you, Musa.
Okay. The thing that I think I've observed, I'll speak in the confinement of the studio because that's where I'm specialized. Producers and artists, there are a lot of mistakes that we often make. One is perfecting our craft. Like for me, I've been in playing music, playing instruments for over ever since 2004. I used to play in church, and when in studio, we want to finish. Oh, apologies, I received a call. Most producers, it's just a computer and that's it. You don't want to invest so much in the craft. What I mean in the craft is learning to play instruments, learning to play the keyboard, the guitars, and all that. And the common thing that people do, they want to finish the project fast, earn money, and that's it. Not recognizing, perfecting the music that is really of standard, where if it goes on the market, it is easily recognized. So, and looking at artists, you know, somebody can just make a song in 20 minutes. They even write a song is done. They even sing. It is mastered and it is produced. But looking at where the music is going, there's a lot that is being involved. You need live instruments, and not only that, you can't, as a producer, you can't do everything by yourself. You need a guitarist, okay? You need a drummer. You need somebody to do vocal chops, you know, all that. So if people could invest their time, don't just look at money. Invest your money in your skill. invest your time, learn instruments, take time to master your songs, take time to write your songs. I think that way will really push people to their music to be recognized easily.
Thank you so much, Musa, for that. You got me smiling when you said somebody records a song in 20 minutes and then they get out and believe they have a hit. And I suppose also when you watch or read about overseas people, like, no, I was in the studio for 10 minutes, and this could be a professional. A professional walking into the studio can produce a hit in 10 minutes, but if you are a very amateurish amateur, it's not going to happen. So I suppose it also goes back to those unrealistic expectations to say artists expect so much without having put in much to gain from. That's what I am I'm feeling sometimes, to say, look, talent alone is not enough, and it has to be honed, it has to be perfected, it has to be worked on, and there's so many other things as well. Kaya, I'm going to bring you back into this conversation. We've spoken about so many of these challenges. Maybe just a quick recap to say some of our structures are just not in place. Industry might be weak, there's no government support, the creators don't take themselves seriously enough, and the creators, for example, we spoke about the music industry. Artists might not have a full appreciation of what goes on in creating them. Like Kumbu mentioned, transport, food, recording, food, accommodation, things. There's promoters, there's record label people, there's publishers and things like that, not having a proper appreciation. So there's education that's required as well, so many other things. What would be a way forward? Still, in the back of my mind, I think that, as in any other sector, the creative sector can only have a certain number of people rising and rising to the top. We can't all be top people in our sector. But given that, what can be some of the opportunities that artists can then take advantage of to say, going forward, I'd like to do this, I'd like to do that. What's your take? And anything else that you'd like to add to this conversation, Kaya, over to you.
Thank you, Zwa. Kumbu and Musa Beats dropped some nuggets of wisdom there, and so much to think about. Before I answer your question, I just want to say I think I agree with you when you said that you understand why record label owners want to keep artists ignorant. But with that said, answering your question, I think in terms of opportunities that exist, we've mentioned this several times throughout our conversation, that the internet is offering a vast amount of opportunities. Like literally from your smartphone, from the palm of your hand, you're connected to the whole world, and I think that is the greatest opportunity that exists. I think it's not necessary now for artists to be always begging or looking for somebody else to give them a hand up. I feel that the internet and the various platforms that exist now are providing so many opportunities for creatives to create essentially their brands and to find ways of monetizing. I think Kumbu also alluded to digital platforms. You have your YouTube, you have your Spotify, there's Behance, and so many of these platforms that creators can use to their advantage to connect with audiences and be able to monetize their craft from there without necessarily having too many middlemen involved in that process. I think for me, an opportunity that exists thanks to the internet is that the internet is providing creators with an opportunity for them to be able to build very strong brands. I think a strong brand is the basis or the foundation for monetization of craft. If you have a strong brand, you're clear about your identity, your image, what you want to communicate. You're clear on your unique selling point. You know who you are, what you do, why it matters, how to reach your target audience, and you're very clear about your goals. I think from there, once you identify the right platforms, you're then able to find ways in which you can then monetize. You know, you have your YouTube, being in control, like Kumbu said, being in control of your craft. I think that is a very important thing. So without necessarily shooting down record labels or other institutions that essentially are the power players in this industry, there is an opportunity now in the age that we live in for many creatives to be in charge and in control and to dictate the pace. Another opportunity that I think exists is also an opportunity that was sort of alluded to in Sega Latita's question, in which he was like, how do we define monetization? I think there's an opportunity for creators to be creative. I mean, they are creatives after all. They have a lens to see opportunities where other people don't see opportunities. And it's about understanding what those opportunities are. Where do those opportunities exist? How are you then able to leverage off of those opportunities in order to begin to make money from your craft and be visible? I think also what the internet has done is it has destroyed the geographical barriers that were limitations for many people in yesteryears. Now you can be based here in Bulawayo, where I am based, and be able to connect with audiences across the globe. For example, now thanks to technology, we have Muso Beats, who is a Zambian producer, but is able to connect and collaborate with us. We're here in Zimbabwe, we have Kumbu Malinga in South Africa. And so this is essentially, I feel, the great opportunities that now exist. There's room for collaboration with people beyond our borders, and that essentially gives creatives a wider audience in which they can interact and engage with. I hope I answered your question without saying too much.
No, that's fine, Kaya. Thank you so much. Yeah, I get that. People need to just step up and be creative, as you said. Say, open up their mind to different experiences. And sometimes, though, let's be honest, it's not just creatives who are not making money. You'll go into business and you have people in various fields, farming or whatever, in tech or whatever. They'll start up a business and it'll just fail. And it's not because of anything. Maybe the market wasn't ready. Maybe they didn't do their SWOT analysis well. And it just happens. And just because you're a creative does not necessarily give you the right to demand or to expect money. Some things don't work out, some things do. And if you've put in the time, you might get to reap the rewards. But it's not just specifically for artists where, oh no, we need to make money just because I'm creative. I think that's also another thing that we have to wrap our heads around. Say, you might like what you do, but the rest of the world might not like what you might have those three people when you sing in the bathroom and say, yeah, we think you're amazing. Sometimes you're just not everybody's cup of tea, and we have to accept that without it being this and that, things like that. But hey, I'm just gonna walk away from that for now. Kumbu, what's your take so far on this conversation, Mr. Music Mogul? Lina Elgutwa, you rip people off and leave artists in the dust with nothing to their name while you make off with tons and bags of money. Okay, Kumba, I've seen your request. Let me just be processing that in the meantime.
Thank you very much. I'm back.
Cool.
Can you hear?
Over to you.
Okay. No,
I can hear you.
I hear what the colleagues are saying. It is very acceptable for people when they speak from the angle of the lenses that they are looking from. Say, these are the things that a good artist who treat themselves as a business person must do. For them not to feel ripped off, for them not to accuse people of ripping them off. Number one, make sure that when you agree or when there is a proposal or when you are proposing before you agree, I'll put it that way, to work with the record label, whether they accept, they propose to you or you propose to. It's like a relationship, propose to a girl, or a girl will show you signs that you want they want you to be together. First thing you do, you hire a good lawyer. Make sure that it's a lawyer who understands the terminology of the industry. They will assist you so that tomorrow you don't feel or say you are ripped, because they'll assist you to go over the letter, what these contracts are. They are what you call the letter. Letter is what you read, the words that you read. Then there's something called the spirit of the letter. That okay, when these words that I'm reading on the contract, what is the spirit behind? What does these words which say this? What do they mean? What influenced these things, these words to be written this way? What influenced this sentence to be worded this way? No matter if you're an English major, if you don't understand the legalities of the spirit of the words, you won't know why someone had to word a sentence in a particular, way. So it's very important that artists have to hire a good lawyer. And then the second thing that also artists needs to look at when they are dealing with the record labels, to be able to make a business out of their own craft, is that there's something called carve outs, where you say to yourself, okay, I've accepted this, I have agreed, or I'm about to agree on this. When it's time to get my salary, and then the taxman, as you alluded, that the government has not been assisting and so forth. The government is major business. While they are there to assist you, their major business is to tax you from what they assist you to get, even if they are there to assist you. The Minister of Arts will assist you to make money, so they tax you and get a portion of your money to sustain themselves. That's the job of the government. They will send the Zimra, they will send the SARS guy, they will send the taxman to come and tax you of what you got. So the artist has to be clever and be learned, or the team they should have a team that understand, the tax language. Why I shouldn't be taxed, on this, why I should not be taxed on that, so that they cut down the tax bill. And then also, you come to the agreement with the record label themselves. You may have a brand like, let's say Zwa. Your Zwa is now a big brand, or you feel it's a brand that people love. If you do your t-shirts written Zwa merchandise, you do your merchandise, be it cups, be it caps, be it t-shirts, be it wristbands and so forth, or what do you call it, wristbands and stuff. When you're negotiating with a record label, you must always know, do I give them the ultimate right and ultimate ownership over the merchandise, or I say, okay, let them build my brand. I use my brand to run merchandise. I know that in our agreement, when our lawyers, both for me and the record label, are agreeing, the merchandise belongs to me. You may find out, you may reap lots of fruits from people who love the brand and want to buy merchandise that has your name on them, because they are loyal followers and they have got emotional attachment to the brand itself. And you are not sharing it with the company, or when you are sharing it, what arrangements do you make with that? You understand? And then also the third thing that's very important, so that people don't accuse record labels, is that from the onset, you need to agree on with the record label how much you are getting in terms of royalties splits. And number two, in terms of performance splits. Many artists, they don't discuss that. They just say, okay, I'll get this much. They don't split hairs and say, okay, when my song is played on radio, on TV, I get this much. When my song is loved by a group of theater players, a group of movie producers, they want it as a soundtrack, what is our arrangements with that kind of, if my song is liked by a talk show producer, a talk show producer and presenter, who want, when they are starting a talk show, no, my song is one that plays or starts and so forth. So you need to be able to be clear on your splits in each and every royalty that comes out of it, and revenue. And don't leave it to vague terms. You must be very clear and precise and to the dot. So those are the things that will make sure they protect the artist, and at the same time they protect the record label, because the record label will be knowing, this is what we're doing, this is what we're committing to. The artist will be knowing, this is what I signed to. That way, you are not going to have problems with who blaming who, because documents can be produced at any given point. And then also the issue of promoters. You need to know, when I'm doing performances, I said earlier on, how much am I getting? What is the company giving that makes them get this much and I get this much? And then also moving on to the other issue, as I had said earlier on, the internet also has come in handy. It has provided a lot of opportunities. I will say this now, this point, I know it may be to other people seem a bit far off, bit what you call idealistic, but in other parts of the world, this is the world that is being lived on. There's something now called non-fungible tokens, NFTs. If an artist listening to this, or you listen to this, you must be able to understand the world of NFTs. Your song that you sing, uh, let's say, for example, a song by Michael Jackson, that particular song that they sang, which may be a very interesting song, that song can be able to be owned by someone in this world. Someone says, I now own this song, and there are digital licenses that can be transferred to that person. They can buy it even for 20, 30 million and own that particular song, although it's played everywhere and so forth, but someone can own that particular song. So this is a new world that now happens, that your song, you're able to auction it and get it bought by someone else somewhere, and they can sell it and can leave it as an inheritance to their children and so forth. So NFTs are also a new way of being able to monetize and auction your music. So as an artist, if you understand the world of NFTs, negotiate with the record label, make them understand, and venture into that kind of territory. In Africa, it will come very soon, but I know in places like South Africa, NFTs have started and they are, entering very well. If you Google NFTs, you will see in America, Europe, and the rest of the developed world, they are working very, very well, and people are getting millions and up to billions out of that. So that's another mind-opening kind of thinking that you have. Not only limited to music, be it actors, you can sell your movie, you can sell even your line, your sentence, the line I'm saying, the words that you speak in a movie, in a theater, that are so catchy that someone may want to say, I want to own these words. These words now belong to me. As I said in the beginning, it may sound too abstract, too idealistic, but these are the things that are happening, Yeah, no, so let me end this one.
Kumbu, yeah. The more you were speaking, the more I could feel how far away I am from this technology thing. I am ready to retire. I'm done. I am like, okay. I hear what you're saying about bring your bases. It seems like such a lot of work, but if you're going to put in the work to create something, you have to do the background homework. That's what I'm getting to say. Look, you've done this. Don't give it over to somebody else for free. Do the background checks. Do the homework. What does this mean? You listed so many things, like if your music is used somewhere, all those things, but you don't think about it. I'm thinking if I was an artist now, it would just be so okay.
Yes.
Give me publicity. You don't get to think about the next. So in terms of a way forward, is it too far-fetched to say that we should be introducing something like entrepreneurship in our schools, or something to do with creative arts and things like that? What's your take on that, Kumbo? Muzo, I'm going to invite you
thank
again.
you very much. Okay.
Yeah, Kumbo, please go ahead.
Thank you very much. Yes, thank you very much, Zoa, on that. What I agree with you. We need to introduce entrepreneurship lessons. I'll venture to say that in extension to just introducing that, we need to have those people that are teaching or impacting knowledge. become people that understand this new world, become people that understand the complexities and the nitty gritties of the arts industry itself and of the new world that we live in now. Why am I saying so? You don't want people to tell you the same things that Omar Chaivana and Abomtugus were told when they were coming up, and all the maybe actors and writers. You know, art is so huge; it involves writers, actors, musicians, and visual artists, painters, and stuff. So you need people that understand contemporary wealth and who understand the contemporary legalities surrounding the advancement of this world. And thirdly, you need people that understand the technological opportunities that are happening, as I was saying just a few minutes ago about NFTs. And also another thing also that artists need to know, which these things I will say them so that when someone who hears these things will be able to go and research for themselves and see the opportunities that are available and start to get interest. Um, the world that the internet world that we used to know before now was something called Web 2.0, where I can just come there to YouTube, upload my song, and then people listen to the song and view the movie or whatever, and view me speaking. And then what they do is that YouTube will say, okay, from people that came and watched you, we got $100. We are giving you $50 or $30 because we marketed for you. Here is your money. Then you get the money. Same with your Spotify. Same with everything. You know, that's a world that currently we're living in. But now there's a new world that started, a few years ago called Web 3.0, where when I upload my movie, my song, my whatever online, like on platforms, let's suppose for music purposes, on platforms like your Opus, Emanate, Otius Music, these are Web 3.0 platforms, different from your Spotify. Uh, I, I, as the uploader, I own the rights to that particular song. Unlike before that, YouTube can make money using it. I now can make money using my content. Like for example, I'll give you that when you go to Facebook, there are people artists that love to write books, chapters. In these groups, write a chapter there. People read. Facebook is happy that 50,000 people read your stuff. They can now tell advertisers we've got many people that come read your stuff, and artists that love to post their videos, their short videos. YouTube, if Facebook says, we've got 100,000 that people came and watched this video clip, so advertisers give us money, and then they share with you legally money. Now in Web 3.0, when I upload a video clip of music, when I upload a status, when I upload a chapter of my book that I have written, I own that particular content and I can monetize myself the way I want. So these are the kind of world that we have migrated to in terms of technology, Web 3.0 that artists need to familiarize with if they are to survive in the next 5 years going forward. This is the new world. So, well, I just said many things, but I'm doing so that people can have an open mind that traditional things, traditional ways of making money are slowly dying. All of us now, Corona showed us we can't be going to ZITF to go and watch people, but we can watch online and enjoy as if we were there. Now there's virtual reality. I can wear my goggles and go with my colleagues to a stadium in Amsterdam while I'm here in Santin, they are there in Bulawayo. But we feel we're there together, you know. So the world, and we just pay maybe dollar to enter or 50 cents to enter that stadium. So the world has literally changed to that effect as well.
Thank you so much, Kumbu, for that. Yes, we need to keep up, whether you like it or not. You just have to try and keep up. And what I got from you, cover yourself legally, read through the contracts, do all your homework, do your homework, and get around to getting the right contract that works for you. Muzo, what's the way forward? What tips and advice can you give in terms of trying to leverage your trust and monetize?
Okay. I think the way forward is uh, to have time to study this, how the business works, and above all, to be proficient with how you handle business. When you crown your artistry with professionalism, and people will take you that way. You brand your artistry with yes, you brand your artistry in that way. People respect, and it's this. I'm talking like this from experience. Okay, people really take advantage. I've worked for these record labels, and sometimes when you are a background artist, a background producer, it is really difficult to make money out of it because people exploit you, they take advantage. You know, there are songs that have made noise, but because I never used to understand, it was just hand to mouth. They give you money, you do your thing, the song blows up, it is played on ads, Black Panther, but people take advantage like that. So uh, uh, be professional. Don't let people step on you. Uh, uh, Set your bar very high, and people will respect you in that way. Yeah, that's just one of the things that really needs to be the key element in business. And you know this as a producer, it really takes a toll of your brain capacity. Like you have to think, you have to be very creative, and people need to acknowledge that and study the business part of it, invest much time in understanding how the music industry works so that people don't exploit you, and people will respect you for that because technically your sound skills, you're okay, and the business, everything will just flow naturally. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rizzo. So for just as more advice, if somebody is looking for a manager or somebody to handle them, or yeah, something like that, what would you say are the key characteristics to look out for? Because I'm coming from this perspective of saying, if I'm trying to sing, I'm trying to compose, I might not have the capacity mentally or otherwise. Maybe I'm not a numbers person. Maybe I'm not this. When I'm outsourcing all those other things, what should I look out for in a manager that might possibly be somebody who could have a great working relationship with? Muzo, you can start off with that one.
Okay. The thing that somebody, especially an upcoming artist, need to look for in a person you want to regard as your manager is somebody who's very committed. Okay, because I've seen here in Zambia, most of these upcoming artists, you find manager, they just talk on phone. He's never even attended your studio session. He doesn't know how you're moving. You know, we have to be realistic. We have such managers, and certain managers, you know, these upcoming artists, they move in these offices, looking for sponsors, looking for managers, and they've never even, you know, being close to being close while you're doing the work. So I would say find somebody who's really wants to invest in you, wants to invest their time, as well as believe in your skill. Okay. So and yeah.
Okay, Muzo. Thank you so much for that. Kaya, if you'd like to add anything, please do request the microphone. Kumbu, in terms of managers and stuff, do you have anything to say, or regarding the management question and anything else as we wind down the space tonight? Over to you, Kumbu.
Okay, thank you very much, Zwa. Well, I agree with what Muzo is saying. Uh, in terms of finding a good artist manager, there are things that you need to look at before you just choose a person and say this one can be an artist manager. I've seen there are people that not that is very wrong, because people have different skill sets. Some have got their family members managing them, some have got their wives, husbands, and some they just choose their friends because they will say, hey, I trust this one. This one is not going to cheat me of my money when we get deals from promoters and so forth, but well, if you are to treat your art as a business, there are particular aspects that you need to look at. I'll just outline a few of them. While there are many of them, but I'll just outline a few that personally I think are very important. I think the first one that you need to do in terms of evaluating your potential or to be a artist manager, you need to look at a creative person and say in your tick box, is this person creative enough that they can think outside the box, that they can be able to promote this brand and manage this brand outside the common layman and traditional way of brand management. And that's very important. You need to look at someone that has a huge creative ability and so forth. Then number two, you need to look at someone who's egoless. I've seen many artists, they suffer out there by having either managers assigned by record labels to them or managers that they choose for themselves who have got egos, and they practice this egoism, firstly to potential in these buyers and consumers of the product, and secondly to promoters who may want to promote the product itself, and then thirdly some they practice their egoism even to artists themselves and will tell you that, don't you know that I'm the one that is building you, I'm the everything that you are doing, you are at my mess, and then you find artists and fighting with their managers and stuff because of egos. And then the third thing that you need to look at is an intelligent person. You don't just choose someone because you are close to, you trust them, you have known them, but you need to look at their IQ and also their EQ. Those are very important things to look at. And then fourthly, you need to look at an organized person. Is this person orderly enough? Is this person organized enough? When we are supposed to go to a photo shoot, are they organized enough to know they've booked this for me? My logistic is done. When we're supposed to go for a performance, all the logistics are done. I'm told at this time I need to wake up, go there, do that. If I go to the gym, I've done my gym. I need a person who is very organized. Payments, is it done? According our books are proper and so forth. And then nextly, you need to look at a hardworking person. hardworking, I won't explain it. It speaks for itself. And then also you need to look up for, lastly, for a thick-skinned person. This entertainment industry is a dog eat dog industry. It's not a Christian or a Muslim industry where we say and God or Allah say it. It's a dog eat dog. If you get pissed off easily, you'll never be able to manage your artists properly because artists have got their own behaviors. You'll never be able to get proper deals because promoters, they want to rip you off and use your artist for their own personal gain. You'll never be able to get royalties because radio stations, TV stations, users of your artist product want to use your product for their own benefit, growth, and then their own financial growth. So you need someone who is thick-skinned enough to know that I'm able to to take this mafia industry head on, at the same time make sure that I'm able to make money for my artist and make money for the company that the artist belongs to, and make sure collectively everyone in the chain, the food chain, makes money. So I think that is what an artist must look at when they are looking for a good artist manager. So
Thank you so much, Kumbu, for that. It is dog eat dog, and I think that's what everybody has to realize. It's no walk in the park. Kaya, as we wind down, what would you like to contribute to this conversation?
All right.
Tips and strategies.
Thank you, Zoa. Muzo, Beats, and Kumbu pretty much exhausted the list. But I think what I can just add on to what has already been said, I think it's important to look for an artist manager on top of what has been said, who's got good negotiating skills. I think this is a very important skill for artist managers to have. Not only are they negotiating their own contracts between them and the artists they're managing, but also negotiating contracts for, booking their events and so forth, whatever opportunities that they're trying to secure. You really need someone who has good negotiating skills, who then will be able to earn more money for both the manager and the artist themselves in the long run. I think public relations skills are also important, in addition to what has been said. Public relations skills are very, very important in growing the artist's brand. So it's important to have these skills to be able to develop the brand, promote the brand, build the artist reputations within the industry, and to network successfully as well. I think in terms of what has been said, I think maybe lastly, what I can just add on is it's important for an artist, I think, to look for somebody who's a good fit. That chemistry that people have, I think it's something that we shouldn't undermine or downplay. Usually, if you have a bad feeling about someone, your gut is probably telling you something that you should pay attention to. Somebody who's a good fit for you, but also understanding within your journey as an artist, what point are you at? Are you looking for somebody who is going to manage you alone, or are you looking for somebody who already has a truckload of other artists and you're just going to be an added baggage to that? So I think those are all things to consider. How much does this artist manager have on their plate already? Are they successfully managing these other artists? If they do have other artists on their portfolio, are they just starting out? Are you just starting out? Are you both willing to learn and grow with each other? Or are you looking for someone who's established, who will then teach you the ropes, or you want someone where you can grow together? I think those are some of the things just to add on to what has already been said in terms of looking for an artist manager.
Thank you so much, Kaya. And thank you, Kaya. Thank you, Kumbu. Thank you, Muzo. Unfortunately, our guest could not make it tonight, but I think we had a really good conversation. I'm not saying, okay, I'm not taking away from the absence, but we had a very intensive, very eye-opening conversation, especially in terms of things to look out for. I would have loved to hear from Honorable Mutodi as both a legislator and a musician, say how has he managed to balance that, and what can government do? I would have loved to hear from a politician say, look, what can be done, what can we lobby for, and what are the channels to use as well if we're saying we want the sector to thrive and grow. And this conversation is recorded, and it was sponsored by Ambassador Dr. Ed Branson. Thank you so much to my panelists. Thank you to everybody who tuned in. Musa Beats all the way from Zambia. Siyabonga. Linga from Santini in South Africa. And Kaya, thank you so much from Gwabulayo, city of kings and amazing queens like you. This is not going to be the last of the conversations. It's creative sector, I believe, has the potential to really boost an economy, especially ours here. So there's a lot of conversations that will have to be had regarding what the way forward is. And thank you so much for being a part of the beginning of a series of conversations we hope to have. And please do share and retweet the link to the recording as well. And yes, I'm sure it will be up for I'm sure Twitter keeps it for like a good 30 days. We will try and download it as well. And Jumba Entertainment should have it on one of their platforms. It's a very good night from me, Kamala Msiswagele Ndlovu. It's been an amazing time being your hostess tonight, and we will catch you next time. Thank you once again for joining us. Bye for now, and good night.